I'm starting to think that jazz is a psyop by black people. Um, all right, so here's the theory in a nutshell. I think that black dudes invented jazz like 100 years ago, and since then, all the coolest and best jazz performers of all time were black. All the rock stars of jazz and the kind of like critically acclaimed cool people in jazz, as far as I can tell, black. But the vast majority of people who are into jazz nowadays are just annoying white people. So it's almost like um, this kind of like cult, or yeah, psyop is the best way to describe it. This kind of like fabricated reality that annoying white folks have bought into, and kind of like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They just kind of like people dive into it and give it a lot of juice, and so it sustains itself. And in terms of like the type of annoying white person that gets involved is it's pretty broad as well, because you got the broke hipsters who think they're in a Jack Kerouac novel, wearing kind of like street people clothes. Um, and you met them at university or college, those type of whiteys. And then right up to the Silicon Valley executive scumbags who'll pay $300 to go see an old black jazz pianist be Kurt on stage with his band. That type of person. I remember in the infamous Robin Williams interview on WTF with Mark Maron. He was I think it was like 10 years before he killed himself. And he was talking about living up in Palo Alto. And he described one of those gigs, those kind of like high end jazz shows in California where, some amazing jazz pianist was on stage. And then I could picture the crowd from the story in terms of all these people who got in early at Apple, or just investing in Silicon Valley, and it's all these kind of white people outspending each other in this cool hip environment, or their version of cool and hip. But no one probably understands what the fuck is going on with the music. And I think that's why jazz is like the perfect trap, because it's kind of like Scientology. It is mysterious, and it doesn't make sense from the beginning. And then the deeper you go in, the less it makes sense. And cards on the table here. I get stoned. I'll listen to jazz. It's fucking great when you're high. I couldn't describe what's great about it. Um, yeah, again, because in those instances when I'm high and I'm listening to jazz, it's mainly just because I'm kind of like immersed in my own movie where I am like the a Kerouac character and doing all that shit. But yeah, it's hard to put my finger on. It's so circumstantial as well. You walk into certain places and they're playing jazz, and you're like, all right, this is all right. And I think that's the thing, is I'd much rather, I don't know, maybe jazz band playing low, like quietly, would fit certain scenes. But maybe I just prefer recorded versions. I don't know. But look at it. It's sucking me in right now. I'm kind of rethinking. I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I should like it. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of like Scientology. Yeah, and that it doesn't make sense. And then but you always tell yourself, well, if I got into it, surely it would make more sense. I can learn more. And I don't think it does. I really don't think it I don't think it does. Plus, it has a racial element where you can't really criticize it. You can't be like, yeah, it's a fucking scam. Because people would be like, are you bigoted towards black culture? Yeah, you're like, no, I'm just saying the thing that doesn't make sense doesn't make sense. And like, don't be a fucking racist. So anyway, if you are the middle-aged person or the young, annoying, Kerouac wannabe at university or college, I would say go see a fucking jam band instead. That is like, as far as I can gather, actual jazz heads wouldn't see that as jazz. That's kind of like it's almost like the jam band, Grateful Dead, Fish elements of jazz. That's almost like, I don't know. Even I'm trying to think of like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They kind of have some jazzy, proggy elements. That would almost being like, I don't know, I love like burgers or something, and then going to see McDonald's. I'm guessing that's how they see those type of that subgenre, or whether it's like jazz light. But at least in that instance, you get the long, jazzy experience, 28-minute tracks and all that, and just kind of everyone gets a solo doing the pentatonic scale again and again and again. But at least you can trip fucking balls and have a bit of fun, as opposed to those kind of like cardboard motherfuckers. That's maybe why Robin Williams necked himself. He was forced, he was sober as a judge, and having to live with all these people who used to be cool and hip and long haired and wild, much like Robin Williams, and they all grew up and yeah, became squares and got into this kind of jazz scam. So I think if you can kind of look past the fact that John Mayer is on stage for some reason at these Dead and Co shows, I feel like that's the better option, because you get the kind of like, yeah, you can just kind of space out and enjoy the repetitious cycle without having to get involved in a Ponzi scheme, a la Scientology. So anyway, jazz heads, come at me, brah.